my face and it was like...
Theresa May, breaking news.
Oh, okay.
Go on, else.
What, you want me to say it straight away?
Look at the camera and
Okay, this camera. Breaking news. Theresa May, after a long, hard fight, has just resigned from government. Woo!
Yeah! So, welcome to Sweet Truth, everyone. We've got Ella and Lily, two politics students, and I'm hoping that you can teach me and everybody else quite a lot of information that I don't know about.
We'll try.
So let's talk politics. It's not really the hot topic of many young people's conversations over Nando's. So tell me about it. Did you vote yesterday?
Of course we voted yesterday.
Exercised our vote.
I was there immediately. You were late on the train, actually. Yes, so the European elections yesterday, which actually I feel like, obviously we don't know yet, the results haven't come out, but I feel like the turnout is going to be quite a lot higher. I'm hoping, just because there was such a push on social media and things like, I don't know if you saw, but like on Snapchat, like the EU had paid for an ad saying like young people go and vote in the European elections, one of the like filters, which obviously seems like a trivial thing, but that's the kind of things that are getting people involved nowadays. Whereas, because I was saying to Lil on the way here, it's so kind of awful that we didn't get any like, you know, you don't get a BBC News notification saying today's the European elections or from anything like that. I don't think I even saw anything from the government informing the public that they needed to go and vote yesterday.
I think it's just quite an assumed thing that people will go and vote, and because of that there is such a I mean, European elections generally tend to have like a lot lower turnout in general.
Because I text a few friends saying like, have you been out and voted, and like, in what? Really?
And it was, and the local, I don't know if you voted in the local elections a couple of weeks ago, but they're even, I mean, I think they rarely get above a 30% turnout, especially
no one knows who
for younger people.
Anyway.
But I think that's such an issue, because the local elections are the things that are actually happening in your community. You know, it's
the little things, like
it's things that you wouldn't think about. How long your street lights are staying on, like the police that are keeping you safe and things like that. But again, there's no push for it.
And also because I think that because they're such trivial things, they're smaller things, it's not very emotive. People aren't getting involved. Like, they don't really care about it as much.
It's not like an ideological vote. 100%. It's more like a practical thing.
So why is it so important for young people to be voting? Because I feel like we say, it's not something that we talk about loads. So like my parents, grandparents, they're the kind of people that I wouldn't really trust, even though they're older than me, and I probably should, but they've got completely different views to our generation. And the laws that are going to be set in place are for us really. It's like my grandparents voted to leave the EU, and it's like, why did you do that? Why? That's
not going to affect you.
It's not affecting you, Grandma, whilst you're sat on your couch in the living room watching TV 18 hours of the day. So it's so important for us to have that voice.
100%, and I think especially with things like you say, Brexit is going to disproportionately affect young people mostly. I mean, just a tiny example, we have at our uni this program called Erasmus, which means that you can go and study in an abroad university in Europe for a year, and it's all kind of funded and it's amazing. Obviously you get to go and live for a year in a city and explore these new cultures, but because of Brexit the funding has stopped. People aren't going to be able to do that anymore, and it's things like that people don't think about what you're limiting yourself from. Like, you know that thing on Facebook, and it was like, you can fall in love in Paris, get married in Berlin, something like that, but it's so true.
Like, it's completely limiting and people people from lower income backgrounds who will not have the money to be able to go and experience these opportunities and things are going to be so badly affected by it. And it's such a shame as well, because it's just so unnecessary, and university and other experiences should be about going and immersing yourself in new cultures and things, and it completely cuts off. But that's just another thing that people don't think about. When people talk about Brexit, they think about maybe the economy or single market and stuff like that, when actually it's the everyday lives of people in our generation that are going to be the worst affected.
I also think Brexit has become something... Sorry, I knew we were going to start talking about Brexit.
The B word.
Has become something that's very kind of hate-fueled. I feel like there's two completely opposing sides, but they're both so full of like hatred,
pure hatred and anger.
And I think that was with the campaign is why people have become so like, I just don't want to hear about this anymore, because actually it's really upsetting. Like a lot of the arguments,
negativity,
it's constant negativity, and it's fueling division and a lot of racism and Islamophobia, and it is just disgusting. And that is, I think, mainly because of the campaigns and 100%. Because nothing has come of the outcome of like the deal, the rejection, the withdrawal bills.
2 years later, nothing has happened.
3 years, isn't it?
Yeah, and she's been hanging on. And she's only just left now. You know what's funny is I feel like she only started like thinking about, I should probably actually do this Brexit thing
in the last 6 months.
In the last 6 months when she's had so many years.
But who's taking over now? Like, is there another person that knows what they're doing, or does nobody know what they're doing?
Well, this is the point. And then again, we're going to end up with leaders who nobody has elected.
There'll be the second one, no election. So then they'll have to go to a general election. And then
people are just getting bored. Like people are just getting sick of all the procedure and they're having to do all of these different votes that nobody actually knows what they're going to amount to in the end.
And I think that will further drive disengagement because people are sick of it, because people are sick of the 100%. Lies that have been told in the
money
media
as well.
All of the money.
What is it, like a couple of billion?
It's
billions.
crazy.
Billions of pounds, and what has even happened?
At the end, and like in the meantime, like obviously there's more prevalent issues within the UK and further abroad, like homelessness, the money in the NHS, mental health, all of these things that are affecting our everyday lives. And in government, all they can talk about Brexit, all they can talk about is what they're going to do, and nothing is being put in place whatsoever. It's
Well, it has become like a cover. Like they don't need to discuss anything else that they're doing because I mean, I don't know if you saw the other day, Downing Street, they like lit it up green for mental health awareness, when in reality they've cut NHS funding for mental health by like millions of pounds. I think it was something like 6,000 NHS mental health nurses have, left their profession in the last year or so because there's not the funding there. It's not a profession that anybody's wanting to go into anymore.
No, because my friend, won't say names or anything, but she's a nurse, and she is stressed. She is so stressed.
No, the NHS is at breaking point.
And if you say like, I need a week off, you need to have legit reasons. And it's well, I'm not well. So that's why I don't.
And that's where the burden is coming from. The system is falling on the people.
Because they're trying to save lives, but if they're not okay in their heads,
themselves, I know
they're not going to be doing much good.
Exactly. But that is, it's issues like this that I feel like, because Brexit has become this huge thing, people and young people especially, it's not their fault. They're just not being educated because the media is not talking about it. You don't get taught about it in schools. We obviously we do a politics degree, so that's why we talk about it. That's why we're talking about it, because we chose to be. But
that's what I was thinking. I was like literally outside our bubble of university, in our circle of friends, in our university and with other students and stuff, that's we're so interested in that, but other than that, these are people who are like have no idea what's going on. They feel so disengaged with the system, with the politicians. They feel like they can't trust anyone, and it's just like the ignorance that's where the racism, the hatred comes from, and it results in just a worse system where education needs to come from earlier, and it needs to be well taught, and it doesn't need to be biased, and it needs to be well established,
and not just a pack of actual lies.
Lies, like it normally is, because that's what the media is. That's why it needs to be coming from, teachers, and I mean, parents is a difficult one because it's very easy. Like I know a lot of people, especially from where I'm from, will just vote for what their parents vote for, and it's very easy to just say like, they're just being ignorant, but actually, in fact, maybe they're just not that interested, and there's no other avenue for them to be educated by, so they just go by what is in their home environment,
which is understandable to an extent. 100%, but I think that's where the media comes in, and its responsibility to clearly give across messages and
not be biased.
Because the social media can be so beneficial to a lot of things, but then there's also a lot of negativity as well. Like, what would you say the negative impacts of social media are in politics?
I mean, there is the thing that I would call it, I would just say the clickbait. I just think such a temptation for people to scroll through Facebook and see, I don't know, a headline that says Jeremy Corbyn is a terrorist sympathiser, and then they stick with that and they run with that, and that's their argument if anybody wants to engage in a discussion about politics with them. So I think then it just becomes a thing where they sort of shut off from hearing any other point of view. And then I do also think with things like Instagram, I don't see many people on Instagram talking about politics, which I think comes a lot from the way that Instagram now is a job for most people. You know, they don't want to risk saying anything controversial that could cut them off from their, you know, audience. But at the same time, I do think, you know, these influencers who have like this huge platform,
Don't get me started.
in a way,
you
like,
have a responsibility.
Yeah, I feel like
and
they have
also,
a duty.
and also the fact that a lot of their audience is going to be young people.
Young
It's
people,
young girls.
The amount of the difference that they could make if they just use their platform properly.
Even just to say like, well, have you registered to vote? Like, it doesn't need to be
It doesn't need to be a politicized
biased,
thing,
politicized thing. Like, just literally saying, remember the elections are tomorrow. Like, make sure you go and vote. But I feel like, I just feel like there's a real reluctance to do that with influencers.
You're not telling anybody who to vote for. You're just saying go.
But even I think
vote.
it's like raising awareness, like linking back to the environment and stuff. Like even little things like that, people will take an interest and people will notice if it's put to them. Because at the end of the day, you're spending hours and hours on Instagram and on social media and stuff, and it's
so mindless though, isn't it, to just like scroll and look at like, oh, look at her outfit or look at her holiday.
But that's what people don't care about anything anymore. I feel like interest is gone in like the real things in life.
Because it's all so fake and it's all so materialised. And I think, you know, like just for a minute, like just give it a rest with your discount codes and just say something with meaning. Like, you know, I know it can be a controversial thing, but I don't see how it could be controversial to say to your young followers,
have you registered to vote?
Have you registered to vote? Sign this petition. Like, are you interested in this, you know, if the world is going to end in however many years?
You're not nagging.
You're not nagging. I think I do nag. I think I nag a bit.
No, you do not nag. You do.
But nagging's good.
You've got to nag. You do have to
People
nag.
won't listen otherwise.
No, exactly. But I do feel like sometimes, because obviously, I mean, I don't like Instagram. For me is, obviously I have to kind of use it for modelling and stuff like that. Like if it was up to me, I would post politics like all day, every day. But I need to make a bit of money, you know, sometimes. But it does feel like, you know, I put up a picture of my face and you'd get however many comments and likes. And then if I put up a picture of like...
Or a petition link or something.
Children, or children like starving in Yemen. And I'm like, click the link in my bio, nothing.
But I feel like I'm getting more engagement on these little mini rants that I'm going on about like the world, like the plastic waste and all this kind of stuff. Like the more I talk about it, I might be losing followers, but I don't care because there's a lot of people that are coming saying, oh, I saw what you said about that, like where was that place that you went to and recommended that. So people are listening. The more you nag, the more
and that's why I think
works.
it can be a really, really good tool, because it is a way, it's a different form of like participation. And I think if the message is there, people will listen. It might be a small minority and they might be more interested in what you're wearing or what you have for dinner. But at the end of the day, like, I think it has a lot of potential.
Yeah. And if people like what you're saying, they'll stick with you and they'll trust what you're saying
and share your stuff and things.
And that is influencing. That is what everything should be.
I know. I just think, imagine if that was on a bigger scale.
Exactly.
And it was these
mad.
these people who have they have so many followers, and I just sit and I just think, oh, that's so frustrating to me that you're not doing anything with that platform beyond showing what you're wearing. And I understand it's a job, I understand it's a business.
But if one of them did it, I'm sure the rest would, because it's a trend. Definitely. So they love following trends, so they would. But it just needs that one person to start that.
I think that's part of it, politics and social media as well, is it can kind of turn into a trend sometimes.
Yeah, that's the danger of it.
Which I feel like with things like, you know, like the Me Too movement, which was incredible. Like, it was amazing that was, because that was people, you know, actresses who were from higher up coming out and saying, this has happened to me, and encouraging people to come forward. And
it was amazing. Like, the response that it had was incredible.
Oh, it was huge, but it was fleeting. Like, it's gone now. You don't hear about it now.
Exactly.
And so and there is a danger with things like that. I also feel like with climate change, which is kind of probably the most pressing issue of our time. Again, I feel like there's some days when people are like, oh yeah, like the government are banned plastic straws or something like that.
We've declared a climate emergency.
A climate emergency.
Yeah.
And then nothing
climate
happens.
emergency, and then they ban straws.
Yeah.
Like, that's not the solution.
What does that mean?
What else are you going to do?
Exactly. But then I feel like there's a big uproar about that. Like, oh yeah, they banned plastic straws, and then you just don't hear about anything for weeks and weeks.
But when the president of America doesn't even believe it's a real thing, we're in trouble, really, aren't we?
Don't get me started
on Trump. Then we will start swearing if we start talking about Donald Trump.
I cannot look at his face. I can't. Whenever he's on the telly, I have to look away because there's something inside me that just boils.
I feel like he's disappeared a bit.
Good.
He's hidden behind.
But that's
his
the danger.
money.
What's he doing behind closed doors that we're not being
exactly.
told about? That's what scares me. That really terrifies me. Every now and then he just sends like an angry tweet out, or that's a bad side of social media. The fact that the president of the United States
is on Twitter
could genuinely start a war by sending a tweet, could start a nuclear war is terrifying.
Oh my gosh, and that
sounds like something like from like a utopian TV show, but that could genuinely happen. Yeah. And it could.
You know he's coming to the UK next week.
Why?
What day is he coming?
Well, he's coming before the 10th. Oh yeah, 10th is on Monday.
Is he banned in Scotland, or have I made that up? Is he banned?
He's banned from Sheffield.
Is he?
Yeah.
Wow, what a place to be.
Our Lord Mayor. Imagine. Have you ever seen him? He's like a really cool guy.
He's just run for MEP for the Green Party.
Yeah, so we voted for him. He goes to house parties in Sheffield. Like he
came
just
to
turn
the
up to student house parties.
It was so weird. He was like, I was like, "You're the Lord Mayor." He was like, "Yeah." I was like,
yeah,
"What is going on?"
way.
He's amazing, but he
really great.
declared, no, Donald Trump is banned from Sheffield.
He's a refugee, isn't he?
Yeah.
This is what I was going to say. Are there is there anyone out there for young people to look up to in politics that are trustworthy? Like this guy.
There we go.
He sounds like an absolute
Yeah,
lad.
you know what? I think he is, because before, I don't think in major politics, I don't think there is anyone who I would put my trust in. I don't think there is a person that represents what I believe in and actually can follow that through. So Jeremy Corbyn in the 2017 election campaign, breath of fresh air. We had the whole chance at Glastonbury. Like it did seem like he is for the people, and he is a lot more connected than a lot of politicians have been for the last few years. But saying that, in the last year or so, he has just failed.
Yeah, completely.
I think
completely
on Brexit,
failed.
and I think on a lot of things, there's no backbone to him. The Labour Party is in disarray with him in charge of it, and I think he needs to go.
The trust.
As
I
sad
mean,
as it
there's
is,
no trust.
There's no trust there, and I think that there is so much potential there that needs to be.
Which is why it's so important for young people to get into it, because
Definitely.
the more voices like you guys we have coming up,
Yeah.
that's exactly what we need.
Well, that's exactly what, like, kind of I don't know exactly what I want to go into yet, but I just know that I want to be doing something that is getting people involved and helping people, because it's so easy to just sit in your little bubble of, we're very privileged. We live in a very forward-thinking liberal society, and it's very easy to just pretend like we're unaware of all the other injustices that are going on in the world, and even like, on our doorstep.
In our own city,
homelessness, poverty, like everything like that. It would be very easy to just sit back and be like, actually, that doesn't affect me, so I'm not, involved with it. But that is such a dangerous way of thinking, but I do feel like that's kind of becoming...
Yeah, I think coming to university as well, like, it has opened my mind and, like, my political thoughts, but also, like, just what is going on in the world, like, and the inequalities, and, like, how disgusting it is for the government that they're not doing anything about the problems that are here.
Yeah.
And we don't know anything about it because we're not being told about it. I mean, the only reason, like we say, we're very privileged that we're doing this course where, also very privileged to be going to university in the first place, which a lot of people can't do. So how is it that, again, it creates this disparity of, like, knowledge? Like, we have more knowledge about these things just because of the position that we're in life. When
our privilege of becoming
it should be something where if you have this privilege, you're using it. Like, I feel like everybody who is in a position where they are able to learn more about, you know, the rest of the world and what we can be doing to help should be.
And should be telling other people about
Yeah.
it and encouraging
Spreading the word as much
Conversations,
Yeah,
that's what it is, conversations,
Conversations.
100%, that is...
Even just going back home from uni last year, I was the first one of my friends to go to uni, and just going back and speaking to them about all these like political ideas and issues, feminism, like I honestly, it's so cliche. You go away to university and you come back all student, you like, fuck the world and all this stuff, and you come back and you speak to them and like, actually like, yeah, these are issues, like, I think that even for me, like, even on that small scale of talking to my family and talking to my friends about it, it gives you a sense of empowerment.
Yeah.
Then that ball's rolling, I'm off.
You're telling them something that they don't know about. Like,
100%.
I feel so informed today. Like, you guys have helped me because I don't know much about it. I don't know much about anything, but now... Not anything.
Don't say that.
In politics, I see what's on the TV.
This is the whole thing. This is the whole thing. Like, you feel like you don't know anything. Therefore, you feel like quite cautious to get involved. And it's that like, am I going to say something wrong? When it's just about
conversation.
Listening and taking it on board and spreading it.
Having a willingness to learn.
Yeah, I have a few friends that I would, like yesterday, I was like, who are you guys voting for? I think I want to vote for Green, but tell me why you're voting for whoever.
That's so important.
And those conversations really helps me feel more confident in my choice, because I've got a feeling of who I want to vote for, but I don't really know
you've got
why.
your ideas,
exactly.
and that's it.
So I have a few people that I'll speak to, and then then I make my vote. So it's conversation is amazing.
The most important thing, I think.
It's the way it's going to work. 100%.
And just opening your mind and stuff. So
so thanks for this, girls. It's been amazing. I hope our viewers enjoyed the politics chat. It's a bit different from what we used to. So thank you.
So therefore, I'm gonna be 100 with you and tell you really what it was.
Just got real.